the rise of LSD, with Hitler trying to find a truth drug, the CIA came into the game, which I think was a very fascinating part of the book. And so, as we know, the CIA was created around in 1947, and then the then director Alan Dulles, he created this project called MK Ultra, this notorious project that did inhumane experiments on a bunch of different people. And he chose this fairly unknown chemist by the name of Sidney Gottlieb to lead it. So, can you tell us what was the intent really behind the project MK Ultra, and why was Sidney Gottlieb chosen to lead it?
I mean, Gottlieb was surprised himself that he was chosen because he was Jewish, and all the higher positions in the CIA at the time were taken up by WASPs. So he was like an outsider. But he therefore became very dedicated to this project. It was even secret within the CIA. So it was like a special position that he had, and he really filled it with all his passion. And he became kind of obsessed with the idea of using LSD as a weapon. He could see, I mean, the reports that the American military gathered were evaluated by a Harvard professor, Beecher, who had been the drug advisor to the army, to the military, and his report then, report on ego depressant drugs, as he called it, landed on Gottlieb's desk, and the report kind of hinted at possibilities of using LSD as a weapon to incapacitate a Soviet battleship, for example, or to spike the water supply of a big city. And so, Beecher said it could be used as a weapon somehow, probably if we figure out how. And we should not let these questions go unexamined, because maybe the Russians are also examining how they could use this new type of warfare against us. So Gottlieb created this program, which was MK Ultra, where he did numerous unethical tests uh, with Americans, basically with people, with citizens of the United States, giving them LSD without telling them, unwittingly, um, in all kinds of shapes and forms. He did that. This went over years, and many people were involved. Many universities were working for him without knowing that they were actually working for the CIA, but he found a way of funding LSD research, and then designing the way the research was being done. So over the years, he actually collected quite a lot of information on how to use LSD, or how LSD would work in people. Um, but I guess he came to the conclusion that actually it cannot really be used very well as a truth serum at all. Actually, I mean, you can use it to throw someone off balance, but he wanted to find out more. Can you like really change a person, or make a person do things that the person later won't remember? And I mean, all these like great ideas of an intelligence person. Like, how can you how can you create the Manchurian candidate?
Mind
Which is
control,
fascinating.
basically.
Huh?
Yeah, mind control, basically. That was his
Yeah,
ultimate
but
goal. Yeah.
it's not really possible with LSD. You can disturb someone, but you can't control his mind. It just doesn't work. Like, I think it was a stupid idea, stupid
Yeah.
Nazi idea that Gottlieb somehow followed through for years, with kind of disastrous effects on some of the people that he experimented with, that did it without knowing that they would, they didn't volunteer for it.
And a lot of these experiments were pretty evil and, pretty nefarious. I mean, can you tell us about, what happened, for example, to Frank Olson that met with Gottlieb in a hotel room? Like, he mysteriously fell off the 10th floor after a meeting with, the leader of MK Ultra. Like, what do you think happened that night?
I mean, it was a little bit different. He gave Gottlieb gave It was Gottlieb's assistant Lashbrook. He gave Olson LSD in a drink at a kind of a think tank meeting in a cabin in the woods. There were like a bunch of chemists and intelligence people, and they were discussing biochemical warfare basically. And like Gottlieb wanted to try what happens if because this Olson guy had secrets, he had military secrets that he was not allowed to say to anybody, obviously, outside of his facility. So Gottlieb wanted to test if I give him LSD now without telling him, could I then like break his will an hour later, and would he start talking? And Olson actually got quite paranoid. Like he really thought CIA is trying to like wash his brain now, and he thought that he's going insane and became depressed, and he then wanted to quit his job and then when the weekend was over, which was declined to him because he was carrying secrets. And then Gottlieb shipped him to New York to a psychiatrist, but somehow it didn't get better. And at night, Olson fell. At 1:30 at night, Olson fell while Lashbrook, who had given him the LSD, was in the same room, sleeping, or he claimed to be sleeping, and Olson crashed through the closed window. So he actually flew through the glass and then down onto the pavement and died. So it doesn't look like, he was not on LSD anymore. This was like a week later. So he was, he either went mad the week before on LSD and suddenly pushed himself through a closed window, or this is what most people believe, is that he was pushed by some CIA guy because, he proved to be an insecure candidate. He was, because he turned against the CIA after this, dosing with LSD. He said they're all trying to control me. I want to get away from this. So he became like a security threat. So I would think that someone just murdered him, but this is never, the proof has not been found. It's like a mystery. So officially he committed suicide, but also later General Ford invited this Olson family to the White House and offered them $300,000 as a hush money, actually, you could say, like,
Right.
so they wouldn't go to court, because the CIA had at that time already admitted that they had those people unwittingly with LSD. So he was actually, the family got some money. And most people didn't die in these experiments. They just maybe had psychological damage, but most people never got any money, because also many people don't even know that they were part of this.
Yeah, they were so, secretive about the whole operations. They were like unwitting in the experiments.
Yeah.
And one of them notably happened here because we're in Montreal, actually.
That's one of the
exactly.
worst.
Yeah, one of the worst ones.
That's why we wanted
get
to
into
cover
that one a bit.
Yeah, we wanted to cover that, or
we could go through that.
Yeah, let's go through that. So that was one that we didn't know. Actually, at one point, Evan kind of found out about this thing that happened at the University of McGill, and so this was a psychiatrist by the name of Edwin Cameron, and the experiments that he did of like taking schizophrenic patients and inducing a month-long coma, and then treating them to like electroshock treatments and what he called deep patterning. And then that wiped clean their brain. And then he sedated those patients and put them on high doses of LSD in like a room and played this recorded messages, which is it's just horrendous when you think about it. Like the trauma that these people went through. Like, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And
I think it actually sounds hard to believe that this actually happened, but I guess there's sources for it. Experiments, I was happy to find them because they're so incredibly horrific that they make a good story. But to imagine that people actually went through this is very sad. And this Cameron even was like a high-profile psychiatrist. I think he was the head of the Canadian Psychiatric Association or something. So he was not like a freak,
No.
This was like,
and then he became the president of the World Psychiatric Association, so even higher.
Of the world.
But Yeah.
Wow.
But that's what I don't understand. Like, didn't people realize the extent of his experiments during those times, or was it like decades later that they found out how bad it was?
Well, at the time it was all secret. So it was,
Okay.
I guess right now it wouldn't be, promoted to the head of the World Psychiatric Association, but back then no one knew, he was making, maybe they knew he was making cutting edge research, it's, I didn't study that case. I mean, I thought actually that case would be interesting. So I think someone living in Montreal could probably find out by going to the archives and probably looking at the test series he did. I guess that should be possible if you go to the McGill University, because I'm sure that everything was, reported. Everything was reported and was, put on paper. So, but I didn't do this research. I should have done it, but I didn't do it.
Well, yeah, to us, it was one of the most like interesting parts in the book because like we are in Montreal, and I had no idea that some like horrific experiments were happening like
Here.
in a university that like I have friends that attended to,
And it's such a world-renowned,
Yeah.
university.
it's a pretty renowned university, especially in Canada. Yeah,
Yeah. So it was shocking. Yeah.
pretty shocking. Yeah.